Assalamu Alaikum everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So in this video we're just going to chat about quite a few things. First thing we're going to talk about is the markets generally, the earnings report that it kind of kicks off next week. It already started I think this week, but majority of the companies will start next week. Not majority, some of the companies will start next week. Then we have the situation that's going on with the ISA accounts in the UK. A little bit worrying, a little bit concerned about the fractional shares and what the government or HMRC are saying right now about the fractional shares. We'll get to that. We'll talk about Rio Tinto. We'll talk about Pepsi and Coca-Cola and whether they are Sharia compliant and so on. So this is a basically request from brothers in the Discord. They've asked the questions and a couple of things I wanted to talk about. So we're going to talk about all of that today. As you can see, the portfolio right now is over £81,000. And yeah, this week it hasn't been that bad, to be honest. It's been up and down, but at the end of the week we actually ended up with slightly higher than where we started the week. So we will see how that goes. And I've always said to you guys, I'm not worried about what might happen to overall the general markets. Okay, so looking at the S&P 500 right now, you can see for the month is actually down about 4%. For the last 6 months is basically up about 4%, like 5%, and then year to date is about 13%, which is what's important to all of us. So we're still up for the year, but we will see where we are by the end of the year. Just in basically case you haven't actually been watching the videos and so on, we have a Patreon account, and the Patreon account basically gives you access to a lot of things, including the Sharia compliant investing ebook. Then you get access to the Discord where you can actually talk to brothers who are at the moment basically, discussing a lot of important things, including some of the things that we're going to talk about in today's video. So like I've always said to you, carry on investing, carry on doing what you've been doing. Don't worry about basically the markets or what they do and what's going on right now, what might happen in terms of recessions and all of that stuff. That gives us just an opportunity as investors, long-term investors, to buy quality companies for discounted prices. So inshallah, just think about that and do your own research and find out more information about the companies that you're investing in and so on. But it is important to ignore the noise and focus on your long-term goals, because that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I've always said to you guys. And I hope that I've been doing that in the last few months and so on. Now, let's get to talk about fractional shares. I'm going to show you basically what a fractional share means if you have not started investing yet. So, for example, say I want to buy automatic data processing. I can buy a whole share of this company. Okay. That will be 200 something pounds, or I can buy 1.5 shares of this company. This is a fractional share, and this is what Trading 212 allows us to do. Now let's talk about what has been happening in the news. So HMRC clashes with young investors over ISA rules. So the HMRC, they came out and said, do you know what? We are now going to have a problem with anyone that has been purchasing fractional shares. And of course, these companies like Trading 212, Free Trade and others do allow us to buy fractional shares. They are now saying, do you know what? We don't see that as basically a whole share. So they have basically in 1988, let me show you this, okay? In 1988, the government set a rule in 1998, okay, that says the shares can be held in an ISA. But HMRC believes this does not refer to parts of shares, meaning those who hold basically them breach the rules. So they have set this rule in 1988 that basically we can have whole shares in our ISA account. What that means is we don't get taxed in terms of capital gains, and we don't get taxed in terms of dividends. So now what they're saying is, because what we said in 1988, okay, we don't believe half a share or fraction of shares actually applies to these rules. Okay, we are not accepting that as a shares. So for that reason, we will have to do something about it. Now, what that means, what they're going to do has not been set yet. Okay, they haven't decided what that means yet. But one thing that really annoys me about this government or any other government, they're all crooks, they're all corrupted, right? Is this thing, right? On this website, the Gulf website, if you go to, and where it talks about basically shares and stocks and shares investment for ISA managers. They have loads of information here, but this is the bit that I want you to know, okay? Read this. Talks about basically what shares are, okay? Shares include shares investment, blah, blah, qualified investment if, okay, they're issued by a company that's incorporated anywhere in the world. So publicly trading companies officially listed somewhere, either in the UK or around the world. Okay, fine, we get that. Companies means basically a body corporation having share capital and then they talk about a couple of things here. Now, this is the bit I want you to look. Qualifying shares do not include, okay? Qualifying shares do not include, so meaning you cannot have these in an ISA account. Nil paid rights, so purchase in the market by the manager. Warranties to subscribe for shares, futures or shares options. So options and futures are not part of it. Where does it say fractional shares? And this is not a website that was created in 19 whatever, okay? This is recent. This is April of 2023. You've updated this in April of 2023, a few months ago, and you haven't actually said anything about it. And this is the thing that annoys me about this government. They're backwards, they're horrible people. All they want is your money. They want to tax. They want to take your money and do whatever they want to do with it. They want to give it to their best friend, rich best friends, and that's it. When the guy who runs the country is a billionaire, why does he care people like us? Okay, and right now, all the big boys that can buy hundreds of shares, the conservatives and whatever, you know what they're doing? They're going to HL and AJ Bells and whatever because they got the money and everything else. Who cares about some basically kid who's, buying fractional shares on trading 212 or free trade or whatever? They don't want to basically level the playing field. They want to keep as poor as they possibly can and keep being rich and so on. This does not include anything about fractional shares. So why have you not said that? Why have you not talked about if you don't want a fractional shares? Please mention it. Say it. Tell us. Okay, you knew this was happening. It's not a news, by the way, that they knew about this. They knew, of course, they said these rules they said 1988, whatever. But it's not they haven't been oblivious to the fact that Trading 212 existed, and they have had ISA accounts because Trading 212 have to actually communicate with them and so on. So they knew people were holding fractional shares and so on. So my concern now is moving forward is what happens, okay? What happens to us? And there's a lot of talk, basically a lot of these free trade and investor engines and Trading 212, all of them are coming together to kind of get some clarification and make sure the government understands this is absolutely rubbish and they need to get their act together, and they can't reinforce, they can't tell us all of a sudden you can no longer. Two things can happen, by the way. They can tell us you're no longer allowed to buy fractional shares. Okay, fair enough. If that's what it is, fine. Okay, it will be expensive. Okay, companies like, for example, Broadcom. If you want to buy one share of this company, it's like $700 pounds or whatever it is. Okay, it's ridiculous. I'd rather buy £20 of this every single week than buy £700. Okay, that could be it. My main concern is that now they say everything, for example, they might have a backdate our investment. So everything that we sold, bought, whether dividends, whatever, they might want some of that money. And that's my concern. They might say anything you've sold, any capital gains you made, any dividends that you received, whatever, based on those fractional shares, this illegal thing that you shouldn't have hold in your ISA account, we're going to tax it, and this is what we're going to do. And that's my main concern. But again, it's all a speculation. We don't know exactly what the government is going to do. They have mentioned this. Let's see what Jeremy Hunt and his stupid government comes up with in the next few weeks and so on, and I'll keep you updated, inshallah. But for now, let's just ignore the noise, because it's a hard one to ignore because it affects a lot of us. It affects me as a personally. Okay, so if they come out and say, okay, you're gonna have to now either sell all your fractional shares and we're gonna take basically some of that. If I have a fractional share and I sell it and they're basically in the green, then that means they're gonna tax it. Okay, so I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's keep an eye on it. But some rule that they said in 1988, and then all of a sudden they pretend that they don't know anything about it, and then, oh yeah, by the way, let's tax this, because they probably calculated the math and they've realized, you know what, we can tax these people and make a lot of money out of them. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see what comes out of this. There's a lot of people campaigning and talking to them and so on. So inshallah, we will not have to do anything crazy. And if they say to us, you know what, you can't buy fractional shares anymore in an ISA account, well, fair enough. But hopefully they wouldn't backdate anything or wouldn't tax us and so on. Right. The next thing I want to talk about today is another basically one of the companies that I own in my portfolio that some of the brothers mentioned. Okay, Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is one of those companies whose business depends on the price of iron ore. If you put this graph on iron ore prices next to each other, they are very, very similar. Okay, because when iron ore prices goes up, this company, because a lot of the revenue comes from there, that it goes up as well with it. Okay, and there are a lot of basically people, if you look at Seeking Alpha, that are very bullish on this company, and as you can see here, Seeking Alpha analyst is actually saying it's a buy, Wall Street is saying it's actually strong buy, and the quant is almost a buy, is getting there. So in terms of this business, it's very cyclical business. I am comfortable holding it in my portfolio. To be honest with you, I know it's very cyclical. I'm interested in the dividends. I've always said it's a dividend play. Okay, it kind of helps to supplement my dividend income for now. I would want to own 100 shares and forget about it. Okay, so that's the plan. Right now I'm midway through there, so I only have 50, let's call it 53 shares. Okay, right now, so I'm gonna carry on buying more of this company. And my opinion right now, of course, if China opens up, and they're basically in terms of opening us up, you know, completely, the business is booming, everything is going back to the way where they were in 2020, 2021, this company will see a lot of that, basically their revenues skyrocket again, and then that helps the company with the price appreciation, and of course that helps us get those special dividends and so on, and the increases and so on. They're not consistent, they cut and they increase, they cut, they increase, which means because of the prices of iron ore and so on. So just to give you my opinion, I'm holding on to it. I'm going to actually add to it, inshallah, in the next few weeks. I want to get to at least 100 shares and kind of forget about it. And that's my long-term price plan, inshallah. And as you can see here, this is the price of iron ore for the basically since 2012 up until now. And as you can see here, I think that's when I started buying in Rio Tinto, around here, and then it went up all the way there. At one point I was up quite a bit, and then it came back down again. And if you look at the right now Rio Tinto's thing, you'll see it was around here that was gone up, and then it came back down again. So it kind of tracks the iron ore price. So I'm going to keep it, like I said, depends a lot of their money comes from China, so it depends on how China is doing and so on. And this company actually acquires other companies, or basically starts digging everywhere around the world to find those iron ores and other materials that they need to grow their business. So yeah, that's Rio Tinto. The next two companies I want to talk about is companies that basically sell alcohol, and these two companies are PepsiCo, okay, Pepsi, and Coca-Cola. Now, if you go to their website, okay, PepsiCo website, they have this whole section talking about this. And remember, recently they teamed up with an alcohol company. So in here it says in 2021, PepsiCo took the decision to move into the alcohol beverage distribution space in select markets within the United States via trademark license and deal to third party. And that third party is this company here called Boston Beer Company. Now they have one of their drinks, the Mountain Dew, they have now alcohol version of that. So of course this company is benefiting from that. That is making money from it. If you look at right now Zoya, it doesn't say anything about it because the revenue is very, very small. But their plan is what worries me. Okay, if it was a tiny little bit, you can say whatever. But their plan is, number one, is always better to stay away from it, of course, always, okay, by default, especially with alcohol and so on. But they are proud. They want to continue doing this. They want to make more money about this. They talked about, I've listened to the CEO not long ago, and they've asked him about that question, and he was excited about it. They're looking forward to, basically in the long run, to actually add in more kind of brands and so on. So for that reason, I'm out. Okay, when it comes to PepsiCo, I'm not gonna own it. I've sold it at the time when they made the announcement. As soon as they did that, the other company is Coca-Cola. Is also exactly doing the same thing. Okay, I did look into the Basel company's business in alcohol. This was published in 2022. They also have a low. I didn't even know this, but they have a. If you look at their website, this is the only one I knew about. Was some company in Latin America. They acquired about, I think, 2020, and it was around the same time that I sold this company. And they have other plans they've actually talked about recently as well in more detailed. Talked about how I actually watched the CEO talk about this as well, and PepsiCo was like, oh yeah, we're proud, we whatever, but this company, they have an actual plan to get into the alcohol industry. Okay, so I genuinely feel like, as a Muslim, as someone who likes to buy Sharia compliant companies, although both of them, Zoya says, is a Sharia compliant right now, I'd rather stay away from them, because what if they can't basically revenue start growing in the next whatever years? I'm not buying a company that I'm to hold for 1 year, 2 years. I'm buying them so I can hold them for at least the next 20 something years. What if one of these companies becomes, one of the product becomes huge, and it all of a sudden becomes not Sharia compliant and so on? So yeah, for that reason, I don't want anything to do with it, and I'm just gonna leave it out. One last thing before I finish the video: there's a company called Cube Smart. I didn't even know this company existed. It's a REIT company. Right now it's not Sharia compliant, because when you do the numbers, you will find out basically based on let me quickly show you how I got these numbers here. Okay, so you got the market cap, you got the total debt, which is $3 billion, and you got the market cap, which is about $8.5 billion. Okay, if you divide the total debt divided by the market cap, apply basically times by 100, you get about 35% in terms of debt levels. So it is not Sharia compliant right now, but it seems a good company. I mean, the revenues are growing. In terms of the EPS, is actually looks like it's growing. And they have a solid dividends of 5%. Okay, so you get about almost $2, 74% payout ratio. Remember, it's almost a 90%. The 5-year growth rate is about 10%, 12 years of increasing that dividend. So they look good right now, but of course, they're not Sharia compliant. So if they start basically paying off a lot of the debt, and because the business side of it is absolutely fine, it's only the interest bearing debt that is actually quite high. And it seems Wall Street is actually bullish on this, and they say it's actually a buy right now, as well as a Seeking Alpha analyst. But I wouldn't touch it right now because it's not Sharia compliant. I mentioned this because some of the brothers in the Discord were talking about this, and I just wanted to share my opinion with you guys. Right, as always, I always say to you guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Of course I'm not. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that. And a lot of news and things that are happening right now, I can't ignore it, to be honest with you, because for me, I just want to put as much money as I possibly can into this ISA account, max this thing, because right now I'm almost there, 50%. I still have £10,000 to invest between now and April, inshallah. I'm planning to do that. Once that I've done that, I'm not going to touch straight into 1-2 after that. I'm going to let it grow, dividend reinvested. That's it. I'm just going to leave it alone, and then basically use Interactive Brokers account, inshallah, or any other platform. Maybe I might do a little bit more research before then, before the end of the year, inshallah, and then use that to basically start a new ISA account, inshallah. But as always, I'm buying more stocks. Yesterday, like I said in the last video, I bought Medtronic. I added to Medtronic, and I think, was it Nike? I can't remember the other company, but yeah, I bought some more Medtronic yesterday because it was down quite a bit. Oh yeah, I bought some more AstraZeneca as well. So anyway, I'm going to continue doing that, inshallah. I'm going to share my opinion on what I'm doing here and everything else. Alhamdulillah, the portfolio is about 5.5% right now up. So yeah, happy days, inshallah. We'll see where we are. Assalamu Alaikum. Take care.